What is up, people? Happy February and welcome to another fresh take. T, how you doing, man?
Hey there, fools. What's going on?
All right, now today's fresh take is a little bit different than what we normally do here. It's gonna be kind of like a review, but it's a really a trip down memory lane. And to start this particular trip down memory lane off is we're starting with that '80s classic, that musical masterpiece with the best villain of all times, Barry Gordy's The Last Dragon.
Mm, classic.
Classic movie. Um, we're both. I'm an '80s baby,
Yeah,
so
me too.
there was a lot of great films in the '80s, and most of them completely ridiculous if you watch them now. And then this is probably one of them. Now, T, I got to ask you: are you a Vanity or Apollonia fan?
More of a Vanity fan. I
Me
liked
too.
Apollonia, but I was definitely more of a Vanity fan.
Yeah, my sorry, Apollonia. It was all about Vanity, but but actually, this movie actually had like some people in it that I didn't realize until like seeing it again. Because it just
Let me guess one. William H. Macy.
yeah, I did not know that was him. All
Yeah.
these years, I didn't know that was him until I recently because I recently found it on Blu-ray. They
Oh,
had some
okay.
kind of special anniversary edition,
Hmm.
and they had it on Blu-ray, and I'm like, that is William H Macy.
Yeah. William H. Macy was in it. Chaz Palminteri was in it.
Yep.
I forgot. There was somebody else. But yeah, those are two of the biggest ones there.
And if you don't know anything about Barry Gordy's The Last Dragon, you probably know about if you ever remember anything about the glow. Now,
The glow.
this is Super Saiyans before there were Super Saiyans, and they did it in the '80s.
Hmm.
Uh, the whole thing about the glow is like once you become a martial artist of a certain level, you can envelop your body in a glow.
Yeah, and it was totally an homage to like lightsabers.
Yeah,
I don't know if you even realize that, but yeah, I remember reading something about the writer and stuff. He said that was an homage to lightsabers from Star Wars. So the red one and the blue one especially glow.
yeah, because the red one, especially the
Well,
red one that the bad guy has,
right, you
is
know
the
who had
first
the
thing
red
you
one.
think of. You're like, dang, dude, really?
Right.
Darth Vader would be pleased. But
Yes.
it's basically kind of like a story of like a bully and the guy he's picking on because
Hmm.
the story is set in '80s Harlem. Go figure.
Yeah.
Uh, your the hero is a devout Bruce Lee disciple.
Yeah, he's and that's putting it lightly.
Yeah.
You know, remember what's his name? Joe from I'm gonna get you sucker. What's his name? What was his whole name?
Oh, Kung Fu
Joe.
Joe.
Kung Fu Joe. Kung Fu Joe. Remember how he was all like, "Oh, my master," Bruce Lee.
Yeah.
Like he was Timac was way stronger than that even.
Yeah.
So
I mean, so much so to the point they called him Bruce Leroy.
Bruce Leroy.
Yeah,
which
people,
is
it gets like that in this
which
movie.
is perfect.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things I love about this movie. This movie is very self-aware. This isn't like an 80s movie that's just hokey because it's the 80s. It knows what it's doing. Like it knows Bruce Leroy. I mean, it understands what it's parodying. And it was a parody film. Like you may not realize that if you watch it now and you have no history of it, but it was a parody film. And it was so good at it. Like the Chinese dudes act like black guys, and the black
Yes.
guys act like Chinese dudes.
Yeah.
And it's perfect. It's perfect.
It's really really perfect. I mean, one of the first fight sequences in the film is basically them at a theater
Mm-hmm.
watching Enter the Dragon when said bully, who is probably the best villain of all times.
Yeah. And let me just say real quick. When I said they act like, I want to reiterate that they act like stereotypical versions. So the Chinese dudes act like jive talking black guys,
Which is hilarious because they actually
it's hilarious. And obviously Timac is black and he talks like a stereotypical like kung fu like warrior in a movie. So
and dresses like one.
And dresses like one too, obviously. Yeah. So that's what makes it great.
But your villain is played by the late great Julius Carey,
Mm-hmm.
and I know y'all know this name. Show enough.
Show enough.
The Shogun of Harlem, walking around with shoulder pads on for the majority of the film.
And because of that freaking Busta Rhymes video, I could not remember what he looked like. Because your memory changed because Busta Rhymes did it so well in that video. It was Dangerous.
Yeah, Dangerous.
Where he parodied Last Dragon.
Yeah.
And so every time I thought of Shown Up, I kept seeing Busta Rhymes' face. So I had to watch the movie again to get the real guy's face back in. And I was like, oh yeah, that's the real guy.
The funny thing about it is, like, when this fight happens at the first beginning of the movie, it's so ridiculous, but it's so funny.
It's hilarious.
It's funny because he's trying to get Timac to fight. Timac won't fight him. Mm-hmm. So people getting tired, and this happens in the Black Theater, if y'all don't notice. But this stuff will happen in the Black Theater. People like, look, man, you need to sit down and shut up. And at that point, he pretty much calls everybody in the theater out, and he does get to fight everybody in the theater.
Mm.
Including the dude that's with a guy dressed like a woman. And like because like when the dude get up to go down and like the woman get up, you're like, oh snap. And then you start talking like, oh snap.
Oh snap. Oh, this movie is so good, man.
It's hilarious on that level. Now, your other villain, because you have Vanity in here pretty much playing herself. Because she's like basically running like what's the closest thing? Because MTV was just starting to get popping back then.
Yeah.
So it would have been she's kind of like a VJ.
She's kind of like a VJ for like clubs.
Yeah. You know? So and you have the other villain who I can't remember this guy's name, but he was like
dude is so cartoony over the top.
Yeah, he was cartoony over the top to the point where you're like, every time you were waiting for him to come on screen so something else stupid could happen. And he was in more than one 80s movie where that happened, and I cannot remember this guy's name to save my life.
I can't remember the villain's name. I can't remember either.
But if you see him, you would immediately recognize, especially if you watched a lot of 80s movies like I did.
And again, it's on purpose. This is, I remember the writer talking about he wanted to make a live action, basically cartoon, Saturday morning cartoon, but a live action version of one. And so everything, the villains are over the top, the heroes, like the side characters. Oh yeah, Keisha Knight Pulliam, Rudy from Cosby Show. Was in there. She played his little sister. That's right. So that was the other one I couldn't remember. But yeah, like you said, the characters are purposefully over the top. And I think you probably will catch on to that if you watch this today. You never saw it before, but just to let you know, that's how it's supposed to be that way.
Oh, that's the guy's name, Christopher Murney.
Oh yeah, okay.
He played Eddie Arcadian.
He played Eddie Arcadian. That's his name, Eddie Arcadian.
And he's ridiculous. He's this guy that's trying to push his girl to be like a punk rock singer.
Yeah, he wants her to be basically Cyndi Lauper.
Yeah, basically.
Ish, but she's terrible.
She is horrible. I mean, to the point where you're like, okay, why in the world would anybody take this guy seriously? And he gets upset about it to the point where he's actually willing to do crime and kidnapping.
And he's like into it more than she is. Like she wants to be famous, but she's not really a bad person. I don't remember her being bad in the movie.
No, she's actually a good-hearted person. She's actually a sweet person. It's him.
Yeah, it's him. So
he's the one that takes it to a whole nother level. Now, there's also a couple people in here that one of them becomes famous as a result. I think as a direct result of this movie because he got his own show afterwards, The Electric Night. Ernie Reyes Jr. Oh
yeah, Ernie Reyes, duh.
Yeah, the little kid in here beating the hell out of grown people.
And he's always been badass. He was badass in this movie too.
Yeah, I mean, because the big climactic fight scene where everybody comes together to help out Leroy, as it were. it's actually a good scene. It still kind of holds up from an action standpoint to me, just because of like how they did it.
Oh yeah, the action is still good. It's a still very watchable movie.
Yeah,
very entertaining.
It's one of the movies you can't. Please do not take this movie seriously.
No, you can't take it seriously. Like even when I was a kid, I knew it was jokey. I knew it was hokey.
Yeah,
but it's very charming because of that. So it still works.
Yeah, it still works. It's just like one of those situations where you like, if you try to really take this movie serious, something's wrong with you.
I mean, the guy's name is Bruce Leroy.
I mean, come on, yeah.
You have to know it's a joke, and he actually wears like the yellow jumpsuit from Game of Death. So it's
at one point he does.
Yeah, like
with the most famous line in the movie, "Kiss my Converse."
Kiss my Converse. Oh man!
Like I said, the movie is chock full of one-liners that you like. Okay, that was dope.
And I was like, oh man! After this movie, I was like, oh man, Timac, he's gonna go on. No, he didn't. Like this is pretty much it for him. And the thing about him, though, he wasn't an actor. He was a kickboxing champion.
Yeah, and he actually really is a martial artist. He still does.
Yeah. He was not. He wasn't. He was actually not very good when they because they went through a long process of finding the right person because they wanted to make sure they got somebody who was good at martial arts. Mm-hmm. For his role, because Shonuff actually was not a martial artist at all. The guy who played him was not at all. They had to fake it. You probably tell here and there.
Yeah.
But Timac, he wasn't a good actor, so they had to bring in an acting coach, and they did a lot. They had a little $10 million budget, which was, it wasn't a little back then, but it's still kind of small compared to a lot of other movies. And there was a lot riding on this movie. Because I think it was it was TriStar Pictures.
TriStar, yep.
Yeah, it was one of their first films, and there was a lot riding on this. It was a big gamble, and luckily it tripled its budget.
It wound up making $25 million, and
I thought it was 33 or so. I thought it was around.
Well, I think it's like that was at the box office.
Okay, no.
That's not adding in everything else.
Okay.
But you got to remember though, back then ticket prices were lower.
Oh yeah.
And on top of that,
$3 a ticket. Like
if you made over what your budget was, it was automatically success.
Yeah, that was a win. That wasn't. It's not like where half your budget is like in marketing. Like they didn't have that back then. So
I think all you really got was a trailer, and that was your marketing.
Yeah. Yep. We got a trailer, word of mouth from everybody, and most people were back then. They were like in tune, and they talked to each other about movies because it was. Something we did back then. So
yeah. Unfortunately, people don't do that no more. But
they listen to other people on the internet tell them about it once in a while. So,
but yeah, I mean, and probably one of my favorite characters in the whole film, Johnny.
Oh, Johnny, yeah, Johnny was great.
Johnny had mastered the art of fighting without knowing how to fight. That dude was classic.
Classic.
And at the end of the movie, he actually learned how to fight.
Oh man, such a good character.
The first part of the movie makes sense. It just made it make sense. He literally didn't know how to fight, and he knows he doesn't know how to fight, and he fakes it for the majority of the
movie. Again, I hate to reference another movie, but I'm gonna get you sucker the part where basically Chef. What's Chef's real name? From South Park. Oh my gosh. Isaac Hayes. They're about to fight. He's about to fight some whatever, and they're pretending to like kick, and he's like, I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to do it either. Let's just pretend, How do we know how to fight? And so it's so funny and self-aware, and that's why I liked about this movie. So I think I'm gonna get you sucker got a lot from this movie because I think it was before. If I'm not mistaken, this came out before.
Because I'm gonna get you sucker came out 88. This came out 85.
Yeah. Okay. Right. So that makes a lot of sense. Like you definitely got a lot from this movie. So
it's just one of those situations, and like, I mean, the amount of like ridiculousness in this movie that you just go with because of the simple fact that like. You can't get mad at it. Like some people nowadays, especially, they would get mad at the scene where you got the 3 Asian dudes acting like black pimps.
Mm-hmm. They would get mad at it. Yeah,
they would get mad at it now.
That offends me.
Yeah, and it's not offensive. They you got to understand they are living in Harlem.
Yeah.
All right.
It's Chinese dudes in Harlem, so
yeah. So
a lot of black people around. They're going to
there
be
are a ton of
influenced
black
by
people
it.
around, so they just trying to fit in.
Yeah, I'll tell you from firsthand experience. I knew a dude from where was he from? I want to say Guatemala, some South American Spanish country, and he didn't know English that well. He learned his English by watching rap videos and listening to rap music and stuff, and just hanging out with black people. So he had a lot of jive talk when he would talk, and he was such a parody, but he was a real person. So this thing that could actually happen. That does actually happen, where somebody from another country comes here and they ingratiate themselves with a certain culture that's totally against theirs, and it just looks hilarious. And that's what these guys were.
And those guys actually are part of like one of the funniest parts of the movie, just because of the simple fact that like they're trying their best, and like we know,
yeah,
but they don't, and it's like their accents are getting in the way. They're jive talking, and you just sit up and then you see Leroy come in.
Yeah, and he's expecting to, because he talks with like a Chinese, stereotypical Chinese dialect, I am the master, blah blah, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And he goes to talk to them guys, and he's expecting them to understand him, and they're talking like he should be talking.
Yeah.
And it's just funny, man.
Yeah, it isn't completely funny. It's about a good 10-minute sequence, and it's hilarious.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah, but yeah, you do that nowadays, everybody's offended.
Right.
I don't understand that, but yeah,
so lame.
Lame. I mean, because it's not being it's really not being offensive to anybody. It's just seeing in the context of where it is, you're like, dude, this is not offensive. This is just something that happens.
Yeah, you could do it. You can parody something and be mean spirited about it.
Yeah.
And that be offensive. I can understand that. But like with Robert Downey Jr. and Tropic Thunder.
Yeah.
Like he was so good at it. Like it wasn't offensive. It was just like, man, that's like my uncle.
Yeah, that's really what it was.
I know a black guy like him. And that's why it worked so well, because he cared enough to get it right and not just do some kind of, offensive kind of mean-spirited thing. That's why it works.
Yeah. And I will say this probably has one of the best Bruce Lee homage montage videos.
Oh man.
In it.
Which almost didn't make the movie, by the way. It was like
I never heard about this. Up
until the last minute, they were trying to get the rights for that, because all that stuff was put in last, digitally, I guess. They didn't have the rights to it up until like the final hour of getting all the Bruce Lee footage.
Wow.
So it was really close to where, because they had planned for not having it, and they were going to do some kind of parody thing. I remember, I don't know if I heard that on the commentary or something, listening to it before, but I definitely remember that it was so close that they almost were going to have to scrap it and do something else, do a parody thing, which would have been terrible.
Yeah, that really would have been bad if they would have had to do that, because like I said, when they show it in the film, Vanity is trying to get she's basically trying to show her appreciation to Leroy about saving her and all that good stuff, and she put together this montage of basically Enter the Dragon, Fist of Fury, and Big Boss, and it's actually a really good montage.
Yeah, it is.
And they had that what's that theme by Willie Hutch playing, and it's just like, okay, this actually is probably one of the better parts of the movie. And it's probably like one of my favorite homages to Bruce Lee that's in a film, and I've seen a couple of them, but that's probably my favorite one.
That was great. I mean, this movie is one of my favorite movies of all time, and so I know, like I said, I know a lot of behind the scenes stuff, and the stuff that they spent money on. They spent it well. Like they were worried about shooting in New York because it was too expensive, and a lot of movies back then just went to Canada and shot in Toronto or whatever for New York, and they pushed and made sure they shot in New York to make it authentic, and they spent the extra money to do that, and to me it worked out well, because especially if you're from New York, New York, and it wouldn't have been authentic to New York. It's like, what is this? This is not New York. And another thing is, what did they spend? They spent a lot of money on, like I said, the Bruce Lee footage too, and the El DeBarge track.
Yep.
So they spent their money well in the right places.
We got to talk about that Elder Barnes shot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They use it a lot, huh?
Yeah,
Because they spend a lot of money on it.
Elder Barnes, boy.
Oh, Elder Barge.
Elder Barnes, man. Cause back then, you know, hair was the thing back then.
Oh, that
Everybody
hair.
had hair. And
Boy, even
Elder
back
Barnes,
then,
boy.
even back then, his hair to me looked so heavy on
Yeah.
his little frame.
Oh my God,
But you know,
man.
hair was the thing in the 80s. That was the thing. So
Like everybody had big hair.
Oh, yeah.
But the ending now, we talked about the whole Kiss My Converse. Talked about Vanity. Man, I miss her. But the fight between Leroy and Sho'nuff at the end. Now, it's obvious that Julius Carry was not a martial artist, but I will give Julius Carry.
He did a good job. Yeah,
he did a great job because he made you believe he would slap the taste out your mouth.
Yeah, yeah. You believed he was powerful and he could fight. You believed it.
He does this move where he literally slaps the taste.
Oh man.
So, and like I said, they did a good job because they actually show both of them fighting. They don't show they don't do this jump quick cut crap.
No,
they're long shots where you see them fighting.
Yeah, I mean, Taimak, he did all his own stunts, so I mean that's natural for him as a championship kickboxer. Yeah. But you know, what's his name, Julius?
Julius Carey.
He wasn't a fighter. They had to train him on a lot of stuff, and I thought he did a really good job. So
yeah, he did an awesome job. And the thing about it, like when he finally gets the glow, he probably says one of my favorite lines. We're like, yeah, playtime's over, boy.
He was so great, such an over the top, awesome villain character.
Yeah, he was over the top to the point where you just like, you know what?
He set the tone for the movie, basically. You know, so you know where you're going once you got him on screen.
And every time you saw him in something else, and he started acting like you, like, dude, like when he was in Briscoe County Jr.
I was gonna say Briscoe County Jr. Is he gonna say showed up or what? Like,
yeah, because it'd be like there'd be times in that show where he'd be about to go off on somebody, like, dude, this ain't the last dragon.
This is not the last dragon, but you are scaring me.
Yeah, he was a good guy in there.
Yeah, I know, right? And he was like 6'5" or something. He was a big dude. He was tall.
Yeah. And like
imposing.
He looked like a true big bully.
Yeah.
I mean, and it doesn't help that like most of his outfits were ridiculous.
Oh, they were ridiculous. They were ridiculous. But that's another thing that was so. This movie could have went wrong in so many ways, and in every way it could have went wrong, it went perfect. Like the costume design, that's another thing that was really well done. You know, they talk about it being a cartoon. It's so reminding. I wouldn't be surprised if the creators, or at least of the what do you call it, the cartoon series of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, if they had said, yeah, we designed Foot Clan and whatnot off of Sho'nuff in his squad, I would have totally believed it. Like, because it felt very authentic. It felt again over the top, but it fit, you know, perfectly. So
yeah, I mean, yeah, it's one of those situations where like you see it, yeah, it does look stupid,
yeah,
but in the context of what they were going for, it kind of made sense because. When you look at him, he looks like a black version of Attila the Hun.
He does. With his hair and all that. Yeah.
You ever saw like old pictures of what they believe Attila the Hun to look like? It kind of made Julius Carry look like him a little bit.
He did look like him, yeah.
Yeah, with the handlebar mustache,
especially the hair,
the tied back hair. Yeah.
Yeah, the shoulder padding. I was gonna say the shoulder padding and all that stuff. It was very much,
Which is funny because like he has shoulder pads, but they have like a Japanese flag on it. I didn't understand that, but whatever. You know,
Shogun, man. I think it was the homage to. There was a TV series that came out before. It's like a 9-part TV series called Shogun. That was also really good. If you can find that somewhere, look it up because I believe that was also an influence on
Oh,
the
okay.
look. Yeah, like I know a lot of behind. I'm a movie dude, so I know a lot of behind the scene stuff. But Shogun, I think, was a big influence on the writer and the producer, and that's what I'm saying about them taking their budget and using it very smart. Their set, the main studio was an old bread factory that they converted, but they didn't convert it. It was used by like other studios for commercials and stuff. So it was very cheap to shoot in there. So a lot of the interior stuff was done in that bread factory, and then they also used a real factory that was abandoned basically for the final fight scene. Where the main fight scene is at the end.
Yeah, that makes sense because it looked like it was an abandoned factory.
That was a real abandoned factory that was actually close to their main studio. It was like I think 4 blocks away or something like that, and that was very cheap. And so they spent the money where they needed to spend the money. They needed to spend it on the music. They needed to spend it on. They rented out. If I'm not mistaken, they rented out that club. That was a real club. They rented it out for a month because I think they shot for 40, 42, 43 days or something for the movie, which is unheard of today. But they shot for so they rented the dance hall. It was an actual real club or whatever, dance club. They rented it out for a month, so they had all that taken care of because there was a lot of stuff in the club. So.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
now, I kind of figured they probably rented out the club because the club looks very 80s.
Yeah, it's very 80s. It's a real club. It's authentic as you can get. So
yeah, so that one because it was like okay, that kind of that makes sense. Mm-hmm. That actually makes sense because like when you see the club, if you ever watch like old MTV footage from like late 80s, early 90s, it looks like that.
It looks like one of those clubs, yeah.
It really does.
Because it really was one of those clubs.
Which brings me back to like the reason why this movie gets like the cult status following is probably more than likely because when both of them go Super Saiyan.
Oh man!
Finally,
such good stuff.
Yeah, and he does the Lotus Flower Bloom thing that Bruce Lee did in what was it? Fist of Fury.
Fist of Fury, yeah. Fist of Fury.
Yeah. Mix that with the fact that they put a boss soundtrack to it.
Oh man!
It actually makes the scene pop better.
Yeah. And so, that was the last thing they kind of spent a lot of money on was the rotoscoping to get the visual effects right because those are really good visual effects. That's another thing they could have screwed up by cheaping out on it, but they didn't. They spent the money to get good people to rotoscope, which was in those days, boy, time consuming.
Yeah,
because it was frame by frame. You move that little line that's around that character, frame by frame. You painting. It's tough today. Like even in After Effects, it was insanely tough back then. So
that's what I thought. Now I got to ask you the question because since and I'm glad they hadn't done this yet, but I'm kind of scared because Hollywood is scared.
Oh no, I know what you're gonna say, and I'm gonna tell you something you probably don't know, but go ahead.
Do you think they're gonna read?
Are they going to? Oh boy.
I hope they don't, but
I hope not.
Try to do The Crow and not doing it with Jason Momoa. I'm just scared of this.
But let me tell you this: that was a talk a couple years ago, and they were talking about and they were talking about Rihanna for Vanity's character.
Oh hell no! Nah.
Oh yeah. So let's hope this never happens. I'm gonna tell you why, because I was gonna say it earlier, but this is the perfect time to tell you why I don't think they should not touch it. Because we were talking about the over-the-topness, the kind of parody nature of it. Over the top back then was really well done. It was people, they understood what it meant. Today, over the top is Sharknado.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like it is stupid on the nose and not really that clever. And you can't, you'd have to make it a different movie. You have to play it up seriously. Or you'd have to like go over the top, which is totally wouldn't work today. I don't know what audience, maybe a Lord and Miller type of setup. They could probably pull it off. Like I would, like there's the only guys that I would be like, okay, I can see where they could make it work because they got 21 Jump Street down. Like
Yeah, they
Like
did.
they parodied that show so well. So it shows me that they understand parody. So they would be the only people that I would be kind of okay. But the casting, even back then, again, these were very important things to the creators that made this movie. They didn't just say, "Oh, let's just find anybody." They painstakingly looked for Timac, and then they got him an acting coach because they knew he couldn't act that well, and they took the time to make him work, to get him there, and they took the time with Julius to get him to be able to fight and be presentable on screen and look like an imposing character. They took the time to do that. They took the time for the music, and they took the time even for the Bruce Lee footage, which seems small, but it's a big thing because it was important that they had that. So I'm not sure somebody today would do it. Just think about the remakes and whatnot we've gotten. They don't understand what the original source was about. They don't understand what made it so good. They just see, oh, we'll take that title. People like that movie from back then. We'll take that title. Maybe, dads and, who were kids back then will bring their kids to watch it, and they just see dollars. You know what I'm saying? They don't understand the reverence for it. So that's why I'd be worried. Unless I did it, they asked me to do it, that would be different. I understand it. So
you think it would probably be better in like the hands of somebody that's like, more try to make it more of like an indie kind of movie just because of the simple fact of how it was shot to begin with anyway?
Yes, you should spend no more than $30 million making this. And that, that's not, it's approaching what indie is now, because the budgets are getting so high these days. But I think 30 million will work because you're going to need some effects. You're going to need, locations. You don't have to shoot. You can shoot it in another, at this point, it didn't need to be authentic for what it was back then. But you can shoot Toronto for New York today. That's fine. But you got to get the right actor to play Bruce Leroy. The thing about him was that, yeah, he was a capable fighter, but he had this innocence as a character. Mm-hmm. And it's hard to find somebody who's capable at this thing, but also is very innocent as a person and a character, and to make it work. And that's the biggest thing that's why he worked. Bruce Leroy worked because he was such an innocent dude in this crazy world that he was in, and it worked. And you can't have somebody come in and do a parody of that. They have to be believable. They have to be authentic, So.
Yeah, and the sad fact of the matter is, somebody there probably try to make him like tough and what they try to make it serious.
You know who I thought would have been good? He's a little old now, but when the Matrix came out, what's the dude? The Asian. He's half Asian, half black.
The original
the brother character, the younger one.
Yeah, the younger brother. Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, I can't remember his name. Dr. By Chung. I think he was one of the Tommy Chung kids. He was Dr. By Chung.
He's one of Chung's kids.
Yeah. So he had that innocence. He was very capable, but obviously he's older than me, so he wouldn't be able to play that character now. But
Marcus Chong,
right? He would have been good. Like if they would want to do it in like early 2000s or something. Yeah, he would have been perfect. But outside of him, I don't know how you could do it. I don't. They'd have to do what I said. Painstakingly take the time to find the right person.
Yeah, you can't just go to like, the MMA route and just find a couple of MMA. They don't work like that.
Right. You can find like an over the top villain. I'd even take somebody big, a big name dude. Like I don't want to say The Rock because I think he's too big.
Yeah.
But somebody that's maybe Sam Jackson's too old now, but somebody that's a bigger than larger than life type of character to play Sho'nuff. But you have to get the vanity right. She also had an innocence to her too.
Yeah.
And obviously she was gorgeous. And you have to find somebody to do Timac's character right, Bruce Leroy. So
and that's gonna prove that will prove tough because.
And bring William H. Macy back in.
Yeah, he can probably still play.
Yeah, he can play his old character or somebody else. That'd be fine.
He looked old in that movie anyway.
Yeah, he doesn't look much older than he did back then. It's just hilarious. So,
yeah, that's the messed up part because he really does not look that much older. He looked like an old guy in that film.
Yeah, he looked like his hair is a little scruffier. Maybe he has a couple more lines on his face, but Other than that, he looks pretty much the same.
Yeah. So
He's one of those guys you just can't tell how old he is. Like, looks the
basically,
same.
yeah. Now now, if you haven't had a chance to watch this movie, I suggest you
Oh man, what are
you
you
have
doing
to
with your
watch,
life?
especially if you're a fan of film, an 80s film anyway. I mean, it's what, like an hour 50? It ain't that bad on time, so it's
You won't be bored.
no,
So don't worry about that.
yeah. I mean, even with the dialogue, you're not gonna be bored because and the action, like I said, the action scenes are all actually really good.
Very well choreographed. Oh yeah, Barry Gordy, duh, because he was in it. He brought a lot of Motown music too, so that he could use. So that was another big thing when they got him to produce it. So
yeah, I mean, like I said, classic 80s film that's in a plethora of Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone and Chuck Norris movies. You had this one that actually was just fun. It was just a fun film.
Yeah, I remember seeing it in the theaters. I was very young, but man, I remember like people cheering, like leaving the theater, and I was just like, "What's going on?" But it. You know, I didn't know at the time, but I'm not surprised that it was a big hit.
Yeah,
and it was a big push for a TriStar back then. So
yeah, and Lord Jesus, Vanity boy, whew.
Vanity.
Some of that stuff she was wearing, man.
Like this movie and Action Jackson.
Action Jackson.
God, oh my God, that's when I fell in love with Vanity.
Yeah,
it was over at that point. So
yeah. Oh boy. Well, all right.
May she rest in peace.
Yeah, because she passed away a few years ago, but she still looks the same.
She passed away actually a few months before Prince did, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
she had passed away of kidney failure. So may she rest in peace.
Yeah, it was kidney failure, and she is missed.
Yes,
but I will say this: I do still think that she was a Highlander because she didn't look no different.
No,
when she passed away, than she did in the 80s.
She was still fine.
Yeah, I mean, her and Sade. I'm thinking that they.
Oh my gosh, Sade. Why are you doing this to me right now?
I'm just saying, man. I'm thinking they might be Highlanders, man. You know,
they might be.
They can be only one, you know, because I mean, they really did look. You get what I'm saying, but yeah, that is our little trip down memory lane. I hope you guys enjoyed it. We're probably gonna be doing a few more of these just because of the simple fact that it's kind of fun to go back and watch like older films and see them again now and see if they kind of hold up. It's just kind of fun to see that.
And this one totally does, by the way. It holds up.
Yeah, this one holds up. I understand why it attained cult classic status because it's well deserved, in my opinion.
And it's beautiful. It's well shot. That's another thing you don't think about. But yeah, you shoot a movie. It has to look good too. It can't just be flat, you know. So it's very well shot. It looks like a really well produced movie.
Yeah, and had a lot of big names that was in it. You know, that came out of this. So hey, Hollywood, please don't touch this one.
Show enough, don't touch it. Show enough,
don't touch it. But yeah, that's it for this fresh take. T, you got anything you want to add or pimp out or anything like that?
No, not really. I really enjoyed this one because it reminded me of some stuff I forgot about the movie once I started talking about it. So definitely one of my all-time favorites. I love this movie, so you should watch it if you haven't seen it.
That you should. And we will see you on the next vid. Peace out, people.
Peace.